Hi, welcome to iEducator. This is Teacher Jeff. I'm an educator and an engineer by profession. And today we will discuss Chapter 9. And Chapter 9 is all about business planning. And in today's lesson, there are five key areas that I'm going to be highlighting today. First, we have the introduction. Second, we have the objectives of business planning. Third, we have distinctions between a business planning and a strategic plan. Fourth, we have setting up short-term plan. And finally, we have parts of business plan. Now, let me discuss to you first the first key area of our lesson, which is the introduction part. Now, as you may know, planning is an essential thing that everybody should do, especially managers, because without planning, life could be a hit and miss kind of living. It is also tantamount to going somewhere, but you do not know where. Now, because of this, businesses are all around us, and it can be observed as well that there are businesses which succeed and failed. Now, why do this happen? Because it all lies in planning. Now, when preparing a plan, we should assure, or we should ensure rather, to make it simple and understandable. What we mean about this is that the first step that we need to do is to, of course, identify our goals and objectives. For example, we will put up a small business during summer vacation. So what must be our goal or objectives then? Well, perhaps to earn money for our first semester tuition fee. And after having identified our goals and objectives, it is then time for us to formulate strategies on how to achieve goals and objectives. Now, in formulating our strategies, we should create strategies on how to market our products and services, such as where to sell them, how much to sell, how to mark up the cost to come up with an enticing selling price. And after having formulated these strategies, the next step that we need to do is to look for resources to finance the plan. And in this step, we will be asking ourselves, where will we be getting the capital to finance our proposed business activities? So in that case, we should be looking for a resource. It might be we will be getting a loan from a bank and other financial institutions. And when all things are set, the final step that we need to do is to implement the plan. And during the implementation, control is necessary so that the goal is being achieved. And afterwards, we need to measure the result of our plan. Now, it can be observed that planning is a process that one has to undergo to achieve his or her goals in doing business. So what is meant by business planning then? If we say business plan, it is a series of business activities that formally lay down in an organized setting the following. We have long-term objectives, short-term objectives, strategies, right financing, and implementation. Now, under long-term objectives, it is divided into two parts. We have the company's vision and the company's mission. Now, if we say vision, this is the company's primary goal. If we say primary goal, it is a future-based and is meant to inspire and give direction to the organization rather than to the customer. It is also internal, which means to say that it normally answers the questions first, why does the business exist? And second, where is the business going? And having said that, vision should go beyond profit margin and internal benefits, but it must look at its long-term effect as well to the business clientele, the industry, the country's economy, and of course, the environment as well. And profit margin can come automatically as a result of external environmental effects. For example, from the Starbucks website, the vision statement is to inspire and nurture the human spirit. One person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Okay, so that's an example of vision. What about mission? If we say mission, unlike vision, mission is a present-based statement. This is the starting point of the company's roadmap. Now, in the website of Starbucks, the mission statement is to establish Starbucks as the premier purveyor of the finest coffee in the world while maintaining our uncompromising principles while we go. Okay, so that's an example of mission. Now, what are the objectives of business planning? Now, there are 6 objectives of business planning. The first objective of business planning is to see the growth of a business. Now, why say so? It is because without the business plan, we cannot actually measure the company's performance because there is nothing to compare, right? But if there is a business plan, then the company's growth can be seen and measured by comparing the actual growth with what was planned. And second is to support the business loan applications. Here, lenders normally ask for business plans before granting business loans because they want a certain loan payments later on. Now, lenders in this case refer to banks and other financial institutions. And the third objective of business planning is, of course, to attract investors because investors normally analyze the business plans before investing to assure fair return of their investments. And fourth, we have to create a new business. This is actually the right step to start up a new business. And fifth, we have to sell a business unit. What do we mean by this? This means that this will certainly help the buyer to have a clear understanding of what the business has and how much it is worth to be acquired. And finally, the last objective of business planning is to orient new employees. This plan can be a good material to orient newly hired employees. Now, what is the distinctions between a business plan and a strategic plan? Well, if we say business plan, it actually provides a written tour of the business operations as it reviews every area of the business. It means that it includes the company's vision, mission, values, standards, culture and ethics, staffing, location of the business, and finally, we have financing requirements. And aside from that, it can be done by a startup business or an existing business to improve its competitive advantage. And finally, it also shows the amount of resources, staffing, and finance that are available to the business. And on the other hand, if we say strategic plan, it describes the how and identifies the business capabilities to implement the business plan. It actually focuses on the entire business areas. And aside from that, it prepares for, or it is prepared rather, for 3 to 5 years. And it also defines the strategies on resource allocation. Now, on another topic, we have setting up short-term plan. Now, generally, there are 3 plans that a company may have. First, we have long-term plan. Second, we have medium-term plan. And finally, we have short-term plan. Now, what's the difference between the 3? If we say long-term plan, it normally runs from 5 years to 10 years of planning because it's long-term. Now, the long-term plan will address the vision and mission of the company itself. This is normally updated every year until they have established a culture of company planning. And generally, a long-term plan is abstract and very ambitious. On the other hand, if we say medium-term plan, it normally runs from 1 year to 5 years of planning. Here, information must be taken from the long-term plan so that the company will be consistent in pursuing its plans. This must be updated every year in accordance with the long-term plan. And generally, medium-term is becoming clearer as it becomes nearer to the preparation of the short-term plans. And finally, if we say short-term plan, it normally runs for a year of planning only. Here, information must be taken from the medium-term plans so that the company will be consistent in pursuing what was planned. And short-term plans must now be clear to the planners. And accordingly, in order for the plans to be doable, it should be SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded. If we say specific, in short-term planning, the planner should be specific and focused on what the company should achieve. Now, in order for us to better understand this, let us have an example. So, for example, the company's goal is to increase sales by 30%. The plan is very specific. It states that for the coming year, the company is intending to increase its sales by 30%. On the other hand, if we say measurable, it means that the plans should be easily measured, just like with the example in the specific part. Okay, so the goal is to have an increase in sales by 30%, right? Now, this means that if the sales increase is less than 30%, then there is a failure, while if the increase in sales is more than 30%, then the company is successful. And next, we have attainable. If we say attainable, it means that the plan is reachable and not impossible to meet. For example, in order to achieve the goal of 30% increase in sales, the marketing of the product is supported by a good marketing strategy, like an increase in product promotion and advertising to promote product awareness in customers, or an increase in commissions of the marketing personnel to motivate them to be more aggressive in moving the products, etc. Okay, so that's attainable. On the other hand, if we say realistic, it means that the increase in sales by 30% is backed up with resource allocation in order to achieve it reasonably. And finally, we have time-bounded. And if we say time-boundedness, it means that the plan has a timeline. So generally, since this is a short-term plan, then the increase in sales, or the 30% increase in sales rather, must be achieved in 1 year. So how do we set up then a short-term plan? Now, in setting up the short-term plan, the first thing that we need to do is to involve our employees in the planning process, because allowing them to do the plans is like making them owners of the business, and therefore they will be motivated further to do their jobs. And the second step, during planning, the budget coordinator should see to it that the plan is consistent with a medium-term plan in order for the company to remain focused in achieving not only the short-term plan, but as well as the medium-term and the long-term plans, which are in line with the vision mission of the company. And third, in setting up the short-term plan, the company should also establish a culture of appreciation. Why appreciation? Because appreciation is rewarding the employees who have achieved the goals. And aside from that, appreciation could be thanking them as well for their efforts, or perhaps celebrating their achievement. So in this case, the employees understand that their efforts in achieving the goal are being appreciated. And fourth, in setting up the short-term plan, always remember to be organized and professional in dealing with problems of achieving the goal. Now, the last key area that we're gonna be discussing right now, that would be the parts of business plan. Now, there are a couple, or there are a few parts of business plan. First part, we have the title page. Now, in this part of the business plan, title page includes the name of the proposed business, the form and the type of business organization, the proposed location, the communication lines like telephone numbers, cell phone numbers, and email address. Also, it includes the date it was prepared and the person who prepared the business plan. And another part of the business plan is what we call the executive summary. If we say executive summary, it is the summary of the business plan and sources of funds, like through borrowing and investment of the owners. And aside from that, we also have description of the business as one of the parts of the business plan. And if we say description of the business, it is a part of the plan that generally gives a short explanation of the industry and the proposed business, the target market and its size, and finally, how the product and services are distributed to the customers. And fourth, we have description of the products or services. Now here, it includes the benefits of the products or services, their usage, and what makes them different from the other products in the competing market. And next, we have marketing strategies, of course. Marketing strategies as part of a business plan includes how the products are going to be advertised, promoted, and moved to the customer's awareness that will eventually lead to sale or revenue of the company. And in addition, we also have analysis of competition. And in this part of the business plan, in the world of business, competing with existing businesses is very difficult and challenging, right? Now, identify the competitor's strengths and weaknesses just to make one's business different and worthy for the customer's attention. And next, we have operations and management. In operations and management part, it actually includes how the business is being managed, the organization structure, and the duties and responsibilities of each staff, so the human resources can be guided accordingly, and the capital requirement and the equipment needed to fully operationalize the business. And another part of the business plan is the registration requirements. Examples of registration requirements, we have the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission. We have the BIR, or Bureau of Internal Revenue. We have the SSS, or Social Security System. We have the Pag-ibig, or Home Development Mutual Fund. We also have the PhilHealth and the Municipal Office for Permits and Licenses. Aside from that, we also have financial aspects, of course. And if we say financial aspects, it includes the income statement that will show the profitability of the company, the statement of the financial condition to show the stability of the business, and the statement of cash flows as well. That will show the status of the most liquid asset of the company, called cash. And finally, we have social responsibility. Now, to some aspect, included is the social responsibility of the business, like salaries and benefits of employees, taking care of nature, and so on and so forth. All right, I think that's a good place to stop. If you have questions, please let me know on the comment section below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button for the latest updates. Thank you.